On the Ground Pro Pack. After laying the canopy down, you want to just neaten it up a little bit. So pull those 3 stabilizers out on that side. Get the 3 stabilizers situated on the other side. Split the middle just enough. You don't want to spread the lines out, but you do want to make that channel right up the middle. That puts half the canopy on one side, half on the other. Bring it all back together, and we're going to go ahead and flake out the inside of the canopy. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up everything except for the A's. There's the 4 A lines. Just enough to get your hand in there to push that fabric to the outside. This is exactly what we were doing over our shoulder. So in theory we should just be straightening it up right here and not remaking everything. In reality, it's going to be a little bit messed up, so you're going to have to get your hand in there, straighten some stuff up. And like I said, over time you're going to identify all the parts of the canopy. Right now it's a little confusing, but the more you pack, the better you'll get. So go ahead and that's the inside C there. You can see the tailgate. Pull that to the center and grab the D's. Pull those up and just push that fabric out to the outside. Lay it down in the center. You don't want to push too far or you'll pull the lines out of the center. So you just want to push to where you get that tension on the lines. You want all the lines to remain in the center. That keeps the pack job nice and narrow, makes it easier to put it into the container. We're going to pull the tail off to the side. Now we're going to count the 4 tail cells. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're just going to put our hand down, trap the lines in the middle, and bring those break lines to the center. That's probably one of the trickiest parts of the pack job, is to get that fold. It's just a matter of doing it over and over and over. Okay, we're just grabbing the lines, bringing those to the center. We're going to go to the other side now and do the same thing on the other side. You don't really necessarily have to find that center again, but you do need to find the 4 A's. Lift everything up but the 4 A's and just flake that out to the side and set everything else to the middle. Find your 4 B's. Lift everything else up. Press that out to the outside, not too far. So you pull the lines out of the center. You don't want to pull the lines out of the center. There's the C's. That's the inside C. It's red. Lift everything up and push it out to the outside. Set the D's in the center. Voila, we would say in France. Then go ahead and count out those 4 cells from the D's to the tail. Yellow being the center, and just bring those break lines over into the center. We want to neaten up the stabilizers. We're going to set the tailgate. Get all that ready. Do the magic wave. Magic wave. There you go. Now go down to the risers. Grab the brake lines and grab the inside red rear lines. Those are all the tailgate lines. They're coded red, so you know which ones go into the tailgate. Walk those lines up to the canopy. On the inside left C, you have the tailgate. Okay. The white part of the tailgate, the finger trap part, goes on the outside. The line actually goes on the inside of the tailgate. Right here, we'll show you a close-up. That goes on the outside, and the line goes on the inside of the tailgate with all the other lines. Wrap that around all the red lines. Put the ends together. Take a small skydiving rubber band, cut in half. It's lark's headed onto one side. You do it 1 time over, turn it over, and do it twice over the ends of the tailgate, about 1 inch down from the ends, and you're good to go. Okay, now what we're going to do is, we've done the inside, we're set, tailgate's set. We're going to grab everything and flip it over so we expose the nose. There's the nose, there's the fold right up the middle. Got the yellow center cell. We're going to leave that alone. We're just going to pull the 1, 2, 3 outside cells
Should be that shape and size. Put your hand down and trap it. Get your hand inside and bring that fold over. On the other side, I'm going to show you from the top view so it'll make more sense. But for now, we're going to look at it from this angle. Grab the packing tabs. There's the crow's foot. That line should be right up the middle. Put your hand inside and bring that next fold over. Straighten that up. You'll have those 3 packing tabs right there. Go ahead and bring that line. There's the crow's foot. There's the line right up the middle to the packing tabs. Get your arm in there and bring that fabric over. Grab those packing tabs right there. Okay, here's another angle. This is from the stabilizer. Pull that out to the outside. There's a seam running right up the middle, just like that. You can look inside. You'll find the 4 D lines. They should still be right in the middle. You got to be careful not to pull those out when you do the stabilizer. So you want to keep those D lines right in the middle. Okay, I'm kind of messing with the canopy here. Okay, that's good though. Alright, there's that seam right up the middle. You'll find that on the stabilizer. That gives you a shape of the stabilizer. You bring your first tail fold over. You'll see that it's perpendicular to the brake lines and that seam goes right up the middle. That's basically the shape of all the next tail. As you bring each one over, it should be exactly the same size and shape as that first one. Making sure that seam goes right up the middle. Bottom is perpendicular to the brake lines. To all the lines. Bring that next one over. Even though there's no brake line attached to that, there's still a seam. You keep that right in the middle. That's even with all the rest, the same size and shape as all the ones before it. Just press that down. Go ahead and bring the next fold over. You want to keep those seams to the middle. That's the most important part. Seams are right up the middle. Okay. Now what we have, there's our 4 inside D's. Keeping all the lines in the center. Okay, so now we've hit the last brake line. We need to get this tail pocket all the way down even with the bottom of the canopy so the lines don't burn the stuff as the lines are coming out of the tail pocket. So we've got 3 points. We've got the first seam needs to go 1/3 of this distance. Second seam goes 2/3 of the distance, and then the center of the tail pocket is even with the bottom of the stabilizers. Okay. So we'll pull that first seam down 1/3 of that distance. Careful not to bring any brake lines down with it. We don't want any slack in the brake lines, so we'll leave those brake lines up at the top at tension. Here's the second seam. We're going to pull that 2/3 down of that distance, leaving the seams in the center. 1/3, 2/3, and now we need to bring the center of the tail pocket down even with the bottom of the stabilizers. 1, 2, 3. Booyah. Neaten up that center cell. Go ahead and flip that center cell out of the way. Making sure, take that stabilizer, you can just lift up the tail and fold that stabilizer in towards the middle. Just getting it out of the way so it doesn't catch air on opening. Okay, we're going to grab the very corner right here. Make sure everything's out there. The stabilizers are all nice and neat. We're going to do a 45 roll, rolling everything in nice and tight until we hit this. 45 to the lines I was showing you there. Rolling everything in till we get to the outside of that poker chip. You don't want to go too far. You'll start rolling the A's around the back of the canopy, which is bad. Get that clamp out of the way so you can see that's where you stop the roll. It's to the outside of that poker chip. Put your foot on that roll. Make your first fold. We go half the distance to the center of the canopy. Okay, if the tail is in the right place, it should be right in the middle of that fold. Okay, so that distance is half the distance to the center of the lines. Now we'll make our second fold, and the outside of that fold should go right to the center of the canopy, right where the lines go up. Put your foot on that part of the fold. That fold should be right up the middle. should be just the width of the tail pocket. Throw the clamp on the bottom of it, and then throw the other clamp on the top. You're not clamping the nose at all, just that fold. And just bring that center cell back around. We'll clamp that in a little bit.
Doing the other side, we're going to go to the top skin. We've got that side done. It's in a nice, neat column. We'll pull on that bridle, make sure that bridle is right in the center. And it's all messed up over on this side, right? We got to reach in and neaten up that top skin. So we'll take everything and push it out of the way, leaving just the nose exposed. There's the yellow center cell. We're going to go 1, 2, and 3 on the outside nose. There's your crow's foot right up. There's no packing tab on the A-lines because it messes with the aerodynamics. So you just have to eyeball it. And then you bring that first fold over. This is the fabric in between the A's and the B's. Those packing tabs right there are straight up from the B-line attachment points. So you should have 3 of those. There's the yellow center cell right in there. Just leave that alone. You reach in all the way until you can't reach in anymore and bring that whole thing over. See how it's starting to take that nice, neat shape? Pull it right up to the pack tabs. There's the C-line packing tabs, the crow's foot. And then we have a nice, neat 3 cells folded over the side. You leave that center cell alone. Okay, reaching all the way in as far as we can get it and bringing that fabric over. That is the fabric in between the C's and the D's. Now we've got all 3 nice and neat, just like the other side. Get the stabilizers out of the way. Now we're going to go to the stabilizer that's in between the D and the first brake line. That right there is the D line, and we're just going to bring that stabilizer over until we hit that seam that goes right up the middle, right there, and that's going to be the start of our folds. Okay, stabilizer, boom. I'll show you from another angle just because it's easier looking at it this way. There's your D-line attachment point right on the inside of that seam. And you'll just bring that stabilizer up. Right there is the seam that you're going to set right in the middle. Okay, stabilizer out to the side. You don't want to pull it too much because you'll put slack into that D brake line. So you can pull the slack out. See how I'm pulling on that top of that seam? That's pulling that brake line right back into the middle. So it has to be right there or you'll put slack into the brake line, into the D line. Bring that first fold of the tail over. You don't want to have any slack in your brake line, so you need to pull tension on that brake line. You can pull it all the way through up the seam, and now you're going to have that first template, just like that. All right, bring the second one over, stacking the brake lines on top of each other, always flaking up towards the top skin of the canopy, never flake down towards the stabilizers. Next fold over. Each one of these folds is exactly the same size as the one before it. That one doesn't have a brake line attached to it, but it's got a seam just like all the rest. It's exactly the same size and shape. It goes right on top of the other ones. Right up the middle. Okay, next one. This will be the 4th brake line. So after this one, we're going to start pulling the tail down. Get it nice and neat. Make it the same shape. Put that seam right up the middle. Show the seam right up the middle. Good boy. Alright. Seam. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, we got it. Moving right along now. Alright, there you go. Sorry, this is like a bad Japanese movie. I'm doing the voiceover here, and sometimes it doesn't exactly line up. Basically, I'm saying take the slack out. Keep the seams in the middle. Okay, this is the first attachment point, the first seam that doesn't have a brake line. Okay, so when you hit that 4th brake line, you're going to pull that first one down 1/3 of the way, then the second seam down 2/3 of the way, center of the tail pocket down to the even with the bottom of the stabilizers. Keeping the brake lines up, you don't want to put any slack in the brake lines. You pull that first seam down 1/3 of the way. Try and neaten it up as much as you can. You're starting to really distort the tail now, so it's tough to get these last 3 folds neat, but do what you can do. Seam right up the middle still. That's the most important thing. Now we're going to go to the second seam, 2/3 of the way down. Alright. tightening that up as much as you can, pressing everything up towards the top. You don't want to put any slack into any of the lines, so you're always working any excess slack up to the top. You don't want to pull those seams out of the middle. When you do this part, they want to come out of the middle, so just make sure the seams are right up the middle. That'll keep it nice and narrow. You'll be able to put it into the container. If you have to, you can just push it in just like I did. Take everything and just kind of push it in gently to the middle. Now we're going to have the bottom center of the tail pocket even with the bottom of the stabilizers. Going to get that center cell then out of the way. That seam is right up the middle. Go ahead, flip that up out of the way. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, you want the tail not so much. If you need to push it in just a bit, you can do that because that's going to be the center of that first fold that you do with the outside of the canopy. You can go back in, neaten up the tail if you need to. And we'll go ahead and do the 45 roll on the stabilizers again. All the way up to the poker chip that's on the stabilizer. Put our foot, get that clamp out of the way. There we go, so you can see it. Yeah, roll it again. Good boy. Alright, now put your foot on there. Take those outside 3 cells and wrap them around the tail, just like that. So the outside of the tail becomes the center of that first fold, and then one more fold should bring you right into the center where the lines are. So it's 2 folds to bring it right into the center, and we'll go ahead and clamp it straight across from the other clamps, getting those clamps, just the lower clamps just above the top of the tail pocket, and then the upper clamps as close to the top skin as you can. So they're even with each other, and they're as far apart from each other as you can get them, with the lower ones being just above the tail pocket and the upper ones as close to the top skin as possible. Go ahead and bring that center cell back around. We're going to get ready to clamp it and cocoon it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and use that center cell as our cocoon, and we'll just bring that around those folds just enough and use that tension across that yellow center cell